How did a report that was supposed to shape health policy turn into an artificial intelligence cautionary tale? On May 22nd, Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. issued the Make America Healthy Again report, which was supposed to provide common scientific basis that identifies potential drivers behind the rise in childhood chronic disease. Instead, that scientific basis appeared to have errors likely created by generative artificial intelligence. The report originally contained citations to fake studies, and it mischaracterized some real findings. When asked by a reporter, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt did not confirm if artificial intelligence was used in the report. The MAHA report has now been updated, replacing the fake citations with sources that back its findings, and in some places, revised how it presented the findings previously linked to the citations. But notice, the news outlet that first broke this news reported in a follow-up story that the updates introduced new errors. So, how did this happen? AI models are trained to mimic human language by predicting one word after another in a sequence. Although AI chatbots like ChatGPT often succeed in producing human-like text, they don't ensure that what they're saying is factual. At first glance, the original report looked okay. The citations were formatted correctly. The report listed reputable journals and included numbers, letters, and symbols used to uniquely identify a document. But these citations were not real. AI researchers told us that this is a sign of an AI hallucination.
The machine is trying to write something that you've asked it for, but it doesn't exist, but it knows what it should look like. And so it can generate components and then fill in the rest. And think of it as if you had a copywriter working for you, and you went into that copywriter and said, we have a new product. I want you to write a press release. And they're sitting there, it's like, I don't know what the product does. It's like, doesn't matter, write the press release. I don't know who you're going to use it. Doesn't matter, write the press release. But they have skills, and so they know what a press release looks like, and they'll write a press release. That's what the machine is doing. One of the big problems is that the generative AI systems in the language realm have no idea what's true or false. They just know what's likely, and not likely in terms of truth, but likely in terms of the structure of the words that you're going to see.
Hallucinations in the MAHA report were not the only AI red flag. Even some legitimate citations were misrepresented or exaggerated. While examining the fake citations, notice found that some of the titles did not show up any results or gave error pages. And when they asked a pediatric pulmonologist about a non-existent article that cited him as the first author, he said that the content was an overgeneralization of his research. Unfortunately, it is not uncommon to see faulty content generated by AI, and here is what you can do to spot it.
So the first note of caution I would inject is that people are not necessarily very good at spotting LLM-generated content. The first is that humans tend to use a lot more emotions when they write. So when you think about perhaps some of the emails that you've written to people, you might use exclamation points in places where you might not use in a formal report. You might use 2 question marks. You might use phrases like, huh. And those kinds of phrases are much less likely to occur in LLM-generated text simply because of the kinds of documents they've been trained on. Millions of books, millions of reports, millions of PDFs of web content. So if somebody writes a report and they use ChatGPT to help, I think it's okay to do that, but they should say, this report, in a footnote somewhere, this report was cleaned up, or we used ChatGPT to spruce up the language in this report. They probably want to add to that they have fact-checked the report and they are responsible for the contents.
Do you see something that is likely generated with AI? Tag us in the comments.